viewers. Today we have with us Dave Hill. He's a stand up comedian, he's a musician, radio host, actor, and a writer. So he wears multiple hats. So, welcome to my show, Dave Talk with Tanya. It's an absolute delight and a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
Great. So we do watch your videos, and we know you as a stand-up comic. But the first thing that I want to ask you is that tell us about your hardships and what kind of an upbringing did you have?
Um, I had a pretty what mean sort of life hardships or career hardships or both.
Both. The more
Um,
we get to know you, the better.
yeah, I think. Well, I grew up in a suburb outside of Cleveland, Ohio. If you've heard of that, and in a pretty big family, three sisters and one brother, and I had a pretty nice upbringing. It wasn't too much hardship, other than just the usual things of growing up. And then I don't know, I guess, if I had any real, probably maybe things people can relate to is just struggling with clinical depression and anxiety, which has been probably the hardest sort of ongoing thing in my life to deal with and try to keep going and have a career and balance those things and stay healthy and things like that. And then, I think my mother died. When she died, that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. And that was about 10 years ago now. And that was a very hard thing I couldn't have ever been prepared for. But it was, I think in both cases with, you know, the performing and creating art helps me work through it and keep going and um and get to a better place. So just got to keep going. That's what I've learned.
So when did you pick up stand-up comedy?
I started in 2005, which I can't believe how long ago it was, because I always feel like everything that I do that I'm just learning and getting better at it and just figuring it out. And I think, wow, I'll have this figured out one of these days. Maybe when I'm on my deathbed, I'll be like, oh, now I get it. Now I get how to do this. But so, yeah, that's when I started. And it was just sort of an accidental thing. I never planned to become a comedian. Um, it was just a friend asked me if he was running a show in the back of a bar in New York and asked me if I wanted to try doing it. So I thought I would try it, and I thought if anything, it would help me, maybe be less shy with just people in general. If you get invited to dinner with a group of friends or people you don't know that well, and I'm usually kind of would be like terrified of that situation. So I thought, well, maybe if I get on stage, it'll help me with that. And so I never really thought it would become a career, but then it just kind of grew from there. One thing led to another, and it turned, next thing I know, it was my job. And now I guess I just keep keep doing it and enjoy doing it, and excited to just figure out new things and get better at it, and hopefully just be the best that I can be at it. I don't really aspire to, copy what someone else is doing. I'm just trying to be the best Dave that I can be.
Lovely. Everything that you said, despite of you going through such hardships, which you very casually mentioned as, very surface level problems. But I think, losing a parent, whether it's about battling any kind of mental issues, and despite of the fact, taking up a job, uh, of somebody who makes people laugh, I think it's commendable. And I think you've had a long journey now from 2005 to now. So,
Yeah.
and it's lovely how you're just not competing with anybody but yourself. And I can just so feel that how much you love the profession and want to better yourself. And I think that's what matters. If you really, really enjoy something that you do, and if you don't really care about what the rest of the world thinks, or you're not competing with anybody, but just bettering yourself, I feel that's the best way and the best space to be in.
Yeah, I think so. That's how I feel about it. And, there are times when I don't remember that, and I might be like, oh, this person got a role on this TV show. Why am I not on that show? I might have moments like that, but I generally think more that I'm just on my own journey. And then also just experiencing life, just the experiences that I've had as a result of the things that I do. And I look at it as a way to learn about the world and take what I do and go. I've been able to go all over the world. I haven't, not to India yet, but I will. um but I've been able to do comedy and music all, in about 20, almost 30 countries, and a lot of them I never would have gotten to, I think, otherwise, and I think it's a nice way to learn about people. And the more you can learn about people in the world, the more you can take that back to where you live, and just expand your horizons, and just grow and understand the world and people, and get along better, and and it's just, and it's fun. It's the adventure of it, like I've always been up for whatever is the furthest away from what I know and what I'm comfortable with is what I always look for. Even when I was a kid, I used to just go through the phone book and like look for like what's a restaurant that makes food that I've never had before, and then I'd beg my parents to take me there, to try whatever food it was.
And Dave, don't be modest about the shows. You have a plethora of work under your belt already. You're doing lots and lots and lots of work, and I think that's really commendable. So now I want to ask you that out of all the work that you've done, if you can probably remember, which is the one joke of yours that you feel was the most loved and appreciated by people, something that you were so proud of yourself for having created that.
Oh, I think it always changes, but there was a joke that I used to tell that I stopped telling because um it's someone made a t-shirt of it, and I don't think they necessarily stole the joke from me, because people can have similar thoughts. But when the t-shirt started being everywhere, I was like, I can't really prove that they stole this joke from me, but I feel like I can't tell the joke on stage anymore because the t-shirt is everywhere. But it was a joke about, um do you know the song everyone was kung fu fighting? Did you know it's an old song,
Okay, okay.
like 70s disco song or something, been like in a lot of movies and stuff like that. And I had a joke that was like, I'll buy it that some people were kung fu fighting, but if you expect me to believe that everyone was kung fu fighting, and it went on for just calling the absurdity of, that everyone was kung fu fighting. But then someone made a shirt that basically made the same joke, and then I was like, well, everyone started sending me the shirt, on social media, being like, someone's making a shirt of your joke. So anyway, I really loved that joke because it was,
Hmm.
it would had a different structure, because the usually it's sort of a setup punchline, and then the punchline is the big laugh. But this is flipped because the setup was the joke, and then you kind of understand that the joke is already passed by the time. So when I would say it in front of a crowd, it would sometimes take like a second for the crowd to get it. And those are my favorite kind of jokes that are confusing and stuff for people, and sort of you can enjoy on different levels of silliness. And so maybe that one. But I also like really long rambling. I mean, as you can probably tell from just talking to me, I tend to ramble endlessly and make no sense. And so I like stories like that where I can just kind of talk, and you know that, and it goes on for several minutes, and it's more of like one big performance piece where like you kind of take the whole thing. So there's a few things like that that I really like, um that I've done. So hopefully I'll come up with some more of them once we can get back out there. They're easy. It's easier to work on comedy when you can go on stage in front of people. So this has been a hard time.
Great. So I do feel that, when people copying your content, or, when more people are talking about it, I feel that's sort of a benchmark for success. When more people talk about the stuff that you're doing, I feel it means that, the fact that people are really resonating with your content. So I think that's absolutely great. So what about 7 minutes in purgatory? How was
Oh,
that experience? Was it, did you feel like you're talking to a wall?
yeah, that was really fun.
so
That was really fun to do because, well, the guy that
for,
came up with it,
yeah, so for audience's context, Dave did a video in which the audience was in the other room, but he couldn't hear anything, so he was just performing for the camera.
yeah, so you have no idea what's going on. Uh, you don't know if they're laughing or not. So it was really fun to do, and just sort of, I mean, it, but by the time I did it, it was sort of relying a little bit on kind of knowing um where I felt the energy, the energy of the joke goes. But it is, you don't know, you come out and you're like, maybe they were all just staring at the screen when it happened. But I love, it's a great idea. My friend Ian Abramson came up with it, and he's really experimental and does all sorts of weird stuff. And those are my favorite kind of comedians, are people that will do try something really weird, and that maybe doesn't always work, but that when it works, it's an amazing thing. But that was really fun. And I always love doing unique experiences like that. Like I've performed in prisons before, just because I knew it would be a totally different environment from, just going out to perform for a bunch of people that were going out on a Friday night to have some drinks. It's very different to going into a prison where people, where they don't have entertainment. But an amazing experience, and I really like it was totally different from what I expected, and it really uh was a powerful experience. So I've done that a few times, and hopefully I'll do it again.
Lovely. It's only when you take up new experiences, perhaps you realize that, oh, this is also something that I was capable of. And I saw the video and you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you.
It was really funny. Yeah. So, Dave, I was also scrolling through your Instagram, and is it a conscious choice that you've made not to post more of your videos on Instagram, whether it's related to your comedy, more of the comedy videos? I know you post a lot, but more related to comedy. So are you also on some other platforms? So have you have you jumped the social media bandwagon completely, or do you feel that you want to continue doing more of live gigs and stuff on television and all the other stuff that you do?
I prefer, do you mean like, why don't I put more live comedy clips up? Yeah, I put some up. I don't I don't have that many that I think look the quality that plus like I think of social media as a sort of a different platform of doing different things. I'll make videos, like I'll go ride my bike and do silly things on my bike, and I think that it's more about coming up with things that are specific for social media and fun, hopefully, or rather than just promoting like, this is my act, come see me, because I definitely want people to come see me and seek out my live performances, but I think I also want, it's fun to come up with just weird ideas, like, I made up like a fake street gang as a joke, and it's really resonated with people, and I made a t-shirt, and now I people all over the world buy these t-shirts to be in my gang, and to me that's more fun than just posting a clip of me telling one of my jokes. And then hopefully, you know they can enjoy the things that I'm coming up with on social media, and then go out and explore, read my books, go come to shows and things like that, and listen to the music. And anyway, to answer your question, I prefer performing live and doing on camera things more than social media. Social media, I think, can be, it's fun, but it's also kind of, you know, it can make you sad. you know, it sort of, you go like, why didn't more people like this? Or why does everyone like this thing over here instead of my thing? And it's it's sort of, I sort of think of it as, it's like um like a coffee mug or something that can never be full because it's always leaking. Like you say, you can never be satisfied with social media, I
Mm.
think. So and plus I think, really it's, uh, human beings, it's about being in a room together and really doing things together. I think are are we're just, that's what we're made to to do. And I think that's why people are struggling so hard during this, the pandemic, is because we're not together. And like, this will be the most social thing I do today, is seeing you on a computer screen. So, which is great. But yeah, I look forward to being able to, walk into a club and walk on stage or whatever. But I did do a TV show recently, and where they had all the safety, the testing and all that. And that was, I hugged a friend for the first time in a year. And it was very like, it was so strange because we knew that we were both tested and we were wearing masks and all that. Um, so
Yeah, I know. Pandemic has really changed things for people. And why I asked this question is because nowadays a lot of younger generation and the new age people who aspire to do this are jumping on the whole social media, and it makes things, it just helps them reach more people in a way. Nowadays people are making 15-second videos, 30-second videos, but that leaving that aside, I feel I personally have a lot of respect for people who do live performances, because you can always shoot and reshoot your 15-second or 1 minute videos. But I feel people who do live gigs have so much talent in them, because I feel that requires a different muscle altogether. So, yeah, another thing I'm very curious about, Dave, is what are your future plans? What about your upcoming album? That's Pride of Cleveland. What's that about?
well, it's out now as an audio album. Hopefully it'll be out as a video, like, special soon, for people to watch. And then, but once we can get back out there and perform, I'm gonna have to really get to work and come up with new jokes and stories. And because it's been very hard to think in those terms during this time, because I usually write from going and doing things. I'm walking down the street, something happens to me, or I see something and it inspires me, or I go go for a run, and I can still do that, but the ideas come from living, and in these times when we're not really living a normal existence, it's harder for me to my brain is sort of slowed down in that regard. So I've been more writing like screenplays and things like that, where I can just imagine a whole other world. So but I was excited I got an email today about doing a show in the springtime outside, which just seems doable, regardless of where things are with the vaccine and stuff. So I was excited at the idea of like, oh, I could actually go and I did one show last summer outside, but I
Yeah.
didn't really enjoy it too much. It was too weird because it was sold out, but it was like 28 people, so it's like it was tiny, and then they only sold, they could only let in that many people. So normally you'd think, well, if only 28 people came to see me, I'd be really disappointed, but it was sold out. So, but it just the energy, the more people you can get.
Mm.
But so anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm excited I'm guessing it'll probably be next year before, it can really do any international things. But that's really my favorite thing to do, is to uh to travel and see other countries, and 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 see how they react to what I do, or how they don't react. Sometimes people just stare at you, and that can be interesting. I don't like that to happen all the time, but it's pretty funny sometimes when you say like a word can have a different meaning in, London than it means in New York. And so you can say something and the whole audience would be confused. And then you have to make the adjustment. And then the next night you
Mm.
come out and say the right word, for whatever word they use to describe whatever the thing you're talking about. So but I'm really excited that, to come to new places. And, right before all this happened, I went to Poland for the first time, Hungary for the first time. And so excited to just see and do more stuff. And then I just love, really, my big excuse is to just eat all the food everywhere. It's all a big scam so I can eat food.
Great. Hopefully, when things open up and you get to travel and, do everything that you love and perform overseas, I think we hope that that happens very soon. So, Dave, my final question to you is that what message do you have for people who want to be stand up comics in the future? And overall, for the audience, what do you have to say to people as per your opinion that how can one lead a happy life?
Well, as far as people wanting to be, if they want to try being a comedian, I think you should try just focus on what makes you laugh. Don't worry about what you think other people might think is funny. You have to be, I think, kind of a hero to your inner 15-year-old, if that makes sense. Sort of your audience is yourself. You got to make yourself laugh. And if you're making yourself laugh, then there's probably someone somewhere else on earth who thinks the same thing is just as funny as you do. So that's my advice in terms of that. And then just keep going and and you'll grow and learn and have fun and have great experiences. And then what was the other question
What
about?
about happy? Like, how do you think people can lead a happy life as per you?
um
What's the secret to happiness?
I think the
besides,
secret.
besides listening to your jokes.
Oh, I think, well, that's the main thing. No, I think the secret to happiness is to, obviously be present and enjoy the moments, the right now. I mean, it's all you can do, and be kind. I think being kind is really the only thing that matters. Like what your success or failures and things like that don't really matter at all. Like, you know, just as long as you're being good to living things as best you can, I think that's important. And also, the older I get, the more I realize all that really matters is being with the people that you love, your friends and family, and eating food. I know I keep talking about eating food, but having food, coffee, drinks, whatever you're doing, for me, that's what is the most important thing, is just being with people, the people that I love and care about, and everything else that I do is just kind of to bide my time until I can be with them again. And then maybe I'll have a new story to tell them of something that happened while I was away or something. But I don't know. I think of, like, my dog, who I thought she'd burst in here by now, but she hasn't. But we go out and we play ball every day, and she doesn't really think about whether, like, it went well or not, whether she had a good game of chasing the ball around the yard or lost the ball. Like, she doesn't care one way or another. She's just like, oh, we played ball. That was fun. She's a dog. It's very simple. And the animals are always the best at kind of they don't think of the past or the future. So I kind of look to her as my guide for how to live. And she's a real sweetie. So I try to be sweet like her as much as I can.
Thank you so much for leaving us with that beautiful message and talking to me and talking to our viewers about your journey, your experience, and such wonderful messages that you very candidly shared with all of us today. And it's been an absolute delight to have you on my show. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Hi, if you like this video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about it in comments. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you get to see all my content first. Thank you so much for watching. Keep watching. Shukriya.